Hello and welcome to this e-invoice webinar. My name is Jesper Hansen. I'm a sales executive at Encoma. I'm working together with Torben in sales, and I'm very pleased to see you on this webinar. Let's jump into it. Let me see here. This is the agenda for the next small 3/4 of an hour. We have a few items to cover in the e-invoicing landscape. So let's get started. First, I would like to introduce the main speaker of today, which is Mette Malik, sitting next to me here, at least digitally. Mette is a customer success manager at Dynatos. Dynatos is tungsten automation's largest reseller in Europe, having the highest partner status towards tungsten. And Dynatos and Encoma, we have a long-standing partnership, ensuring that you as an Encoma customer will receive the highest quality service and support to the products that you acquire from us and use from us. So with this introduction, Mette, yes, I will pass it to you, and yeah, feel free to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jesper. And yes, my name is Mette. I work for Dynatos now, where we are looking into also all e-invoicing and automation around invoice receiving. And before that, I have been working for Resoft as a consultant and also being the manager for the consulting team in the Nordics. So that's my background. And the reason for me being here is that I have a lot of knowledge around the e-invoicing situation, what is happening and what has happened in the past. So to start out, e-invoicing, as we will talk about it today, is an issue transmitted and received in a structured data format. And for the technical part, it's like in these brackets, it's XML we are talking about today. So we're not talking about a PDF or a JPEG and image. We're talking about the real XML invoice in a structured format. And why are we wanting to talk about e-invoicing? And that is because we're seeing a big change in the market. And we're seeing that because EU has set down you can say a project, a commission to look into what they call VAT in the digital age. So it's called VIDA, where they're looking into how can we improve and make things more efficient, but also to ensure fraud around VAT. And this image shows some numbers about from 2021, but where we can see actually there is a gap of expected fraud in many countries, and that is of course not something anyone would prefer to have to continue with. And one of the countries that have a very high number is Italy. You can say here 14,600. So they have actually introduced already as a product to handle this. And back in the early 2000s, EU made a directive stating that everyone must be able to receive an invoice, but there can be no requirement if it's like a page invoices, a piece of paper, if it's a PDF, or you can at least not require that the receiver can handle an XML. Italy was the first country in Europe to get an exception of this and introduced a system where you actually send the invoices to you can say government tax system instead of sending it directly between the sender and receiver. And I will come a little bit more back to that. So that's like the background, and all countries are of course supporting that this fraud should stop. So a lot of countries are starting looking into this. And we expect EU to during the end of 2024 or beginning of 25 to actually set up some kind of directive with exactly what is required. But if we look at the landscape around in Europe, you can say, for example, Germany, they are already pushing very much. Normally, Germany has not been the leader of technical solutions, but they have actually pushed. So 25, you must be able to receive invoices. I'm coming back to that. France is also relatively far ahead and has set up mandatory real-time transaction reporting. Belgium has also started or will start in 26. Poland is also very keen on this. At the moment, they are a little bit delayed with some testing, but expecting very soon to submit an official date where all legal entity in the specific country must follow the rules or the mandates. And important when we're talking this e-invoicing, for example, when Italy has set up a mandate stating how the invoices must be sent electronically there, it's for companies who has a site or location in the country. So cross-border invoicing is not at the moment affected about this, but we don't know what this VIDA EU Commission will come out and inform us about. Yes. And then you can have the discussion, it's mandatory. Some people say, why do we need to do this? But from our point of view, we don't see this as a burden. We actually see it as an option to actually improve and automate the process of receiving an invoice even more. Because whether you receive an invoice on a piece of paper, on a PDF or XML, you of course need to have the data like invoice date, invoice number, and amount fields. But with this XML, you actually have the option to work more with a lot of the data that's on the invoice. A lot of you know already, if you have an invoice with a lot of line items, the structure can be different. Or if you want to capture like a project number, PO number, sometimes it's in the header, sometimes in the middle of the line item field. That part we can actually help you with when we're working with the e-invoicing, because it's much easier to get this information in the process, and that can make the efficiency bigger later on. But here you can save up to 75% of the total cost, faster payments, because you actually have the data faster in your system, could enable better contract terms. You can make sure that you comply to the international invoice regulations, which is an important part of this e-invoicing, that we need to, of course, be compliant in all the countries we're working with. Shorter data cycle, because everything is 100% correct, at least as correct as the supplier sent it. And then decrease penalties for missing payment is also relevant here. And then you can say the last one, invoices is received in minutes. That's also what we see with the PDF. But of course, compared to a paper invoice, it's a fast shipment. And then, yes, but if you move to the next slide, yes, this is a little bit technical. Oh, I don't know, technical, but at least it's a slide with a lot of information in. And if we start with here where it says centralized exchange, so it's the green box number 3. And we can see at the bottom it says Italy and Turkey. They have chosen to implement a mandate stating that no invoices goes directly from the supplier to the buyer. It goes through a governmental system, so a tax system that in Italy is called SDI. So you can see a supplier wants to send an invoice. They need some kind of software solution that has implemented an integration to this SDI in Italy. And when the system here has approved the invoice, then it's actually sent to the buyer. So there's no communication between the supplier and buyer. That's how we will see it in some countries, in the Nordic countries and most of the European country. We don't expect to be such a, you can say, regulated solution. We more expect it to be like other here, where we have a decentralized, where we say, okay, we still need a solution to help you as a supplier to send the invoices, but it's actually sent as the first step to the buyer. But then at the same stage, it's also sent to the tax system. So we actually ensure that we have this tax reporting right away. And that, of course, will minimize the options for fraud. but most likely many of the European countries will end in the left blue box interoperability, where we actually have a provider like the product we are introducing today, Ruti, and that part will be sending through the receiver of the invoices, and the reporting to the tax system will be done post, as it does in Denmark today. And in some countries like quarterly, some countries it's monthly. But here we don't expect, but we cannot know right now because there has not been an official statement. For example, in Denmark, it could be that Nemhandel will be a solution that they're using and actually will push us to the right corner here, where we have this decentralized continuous transaction control. But we don't know. But what we see right now in many countries, like Belgium and Germany, for example, is this is the way we are seeing it, and it's supported a lot by you can say it's a product called Pepple. It's a platform that is done by the EU, so there's no money interest in it. So they're providing a platform where we all can exchange these invoices and make sure that we follow some kind of standard. But it's us as a service provider or software solution that guarantees you that we will make sure to follow the different mandates in the countries, but also the compliance with the local rules. So the mandates is the format of the XML file, and then we have the compliance that, for example, in Denmark, you must have a VAT number, you must have a tax percentage on the invoice. Those rules, you can say, is something that we as a software provider will make sure that you don't need to look into. So you can just either send or receive invoices from any countries around the world, and we ensure that we are compliant, or that you are compliant with the local rules. So a complex slide here, but just to let you know, there are, even though we are talking mandates, it's very different how they are doing it. And you can also see Chile and Mexico in the middle. They also have a governmental or tax system where the clearance needs to be done right to start with, to ensure that the fraud is minimized as much as possible. Yes. And since some of you have subsidiaries in Germany, we took that as an interesting mandate to talk about, because Germany is already looking into this and want to streamline operations, align with all the European standards. And they're doing that from 1st of January 25. So that means in a few months. It's actually a legal requirement that you must be able to receive an XML invoice. And it's not just an XML, it's in a format called Zugfahrt that they have in Germany. So it's of course important if you are located physically in Germany, that you are aware of this, and also that you have a system that can handle this. And of course, else Ruti is able to that. And the big change, and where we will see the volume of e-invoicing growing extremely, will be in 27, because here's a requirement that all larger business can send invoices as an XML, and not can, but must send them. So that means to start with, all larger business above 800,000 euro in revenue, and then 28, it must be all businesses, smaller and larger one. That expected, of course, 25, it will not change much on the volume, because it's just a requirement you can receive. But slowly towards 27, you will see more and more businesses will start to send the XML invoices, and that means that you as a company must be able to receive it. And then we have Ruti, the product that we are presenting here today. It's been developed by Donatus, and we call it Your Pathway to E-invoicing Excellence. And the product provides you a software that is actually mainly working in the background, ensuring that you can connect with your customers as a supplier, fast, efficient, and without a lot of IT hassle. So what it means is that we are taking XML invoices and formatting them in the format that you require for receiving, and actually the other way around, taking from the ERP system if you want to send invoices and converting them to whatever format and following compliance in the different countries you're actually sending to. It's a SaaS solution, so it's hosted on the Azure environment. It's open, multi-channel, e-invoicing, and e-delivering. I will come a little bit back to that one. And it's known for its rapid deployment, ease of use, because it's important. It's just to some extent, just a background system where we're actually converting one format to another to ensure that you have an invoice that is correctly interpreted into your ERP system or workflow. Integrations are very easy. And together with Rudy Donatis, we have a partnership with the PwC. And I guess you all know PwC, but since we are talking about invoices around the world, and we as a Donatis are primarily working in Europe, to make sure that we can follow the different, it's e-invoicing develop around the world, and to ensure compliance, we have made a partnership with PwC to help us guarantee that and to ensure that you don't need to think about this at all. And the platform, you can say, is not just for invoicing. It's I'll come back to other type of document, and it's not just, as I said in the beginning, for compliance. It's of course a very important thing, but we also want to ensure that you actually see the option to actually make things more efficient. So use the data that are coming on the invoice. It could be building some BI tools to make more statistic on products you are buying, on cases you are handling, depending on what business you are in. So please, when you are implementing an e-invoicing solution, make sure to take an extra look and get support, for example, from Encoma, to ensure how you could actually build a solution that can make it more efficient for you, not just in the receiving, but also in the later stage of paying an invoice. Then it's fast onboarding. Formats are out of the box, so you don't need to think about which formats are in the different countries. We make sure of that. Then the very unique thing here is that we can customize mappings on a supplier level. So if you receive an invoice from a supplier where the PO number, sometimes in the top right corner, sometimes in the middle of the line items on page 3 maybe, that can be hard to handle in APS or in invoices. Here we can do the mappings to ensure that every time we get an invoice from the supplier, we have mapped the PO number, so you don't need to think about it. That's a very unique thing here, and it's a very important thing for you to have success within e-invoicing. Then, of course, we have some audit trail, and also we have the option to see the original document that is coming in, because you always have a legal document. The legal invoice must, of course, it's important for you. And here we have the legal first version of the XML invoice and also the converted one, and we have the PDF. So all that is taken care of. And then, of course, the mandate around the world keep moving and keep changing during the next years. And of course, we make sure to keep you updated on that, but we don't need to inform you. We just do it in the background with the deployment in the background, so we keep sure to follow the compliance and the mandates. And then shortly here also, what other use cases and what is it that could make or what does make Ruti unique is that it's not just for invoices, purchase or sales invoices, but it's also for orders, delivery notes, product catalogs, other kind of documents that has already been in a structured format and defined between more companies. And this one we have here has been defined by this Pebble platform that I mentioned earlier, but we will add more document types whenever is needed as things move on, and this we expect to grow over the years. And then the platform itself. Hope Jesper will swap a slide. It's yes, thank you. As you can see here, it's a website you enter, and then you have some information or some menu points here. And the first one I have just clicked into is dashboard. It's a test environment I took last week. And here we can see, we call it channels. So SDI in Italy is a channel, and Malaysia have their own network. Mexico, all kind of different channels around the world will be added or are added here. But at this test, I did something with Nemhandle. I received some invoices and I sent some invoices. So outbound I was sending, and then also I put some invoices on an SFTP server just to show that that is also an option. It could be internally company invoicing between different business units that you're just placing on an SFTP server. But to be honest, it's not really a product that you need to look into. It's a product that the only thing it does is actually converting what's coming in to what you need in your workflow or ERP system. Or if you want to send invoices, you upload from your ERP system the invoice in some kind of format that we have agreed on, and then we make sure to convert it to what format the receiver wants to have it in. So it's not really a product that you need to go into. It's more like if you want to see the statistics or do some calculations on the percentage or something. But many customers will rarely come in here. And on the next slides, I click here on documents, and then I have clicked on a specific documents and invoice I received. I have some information button here where we can see when it has been received, who is the buyer, who is the supplier, and then you can actually see the files here. And here you can see we have different XML formats, and might not be relevant for all of you, but just to know what is very important is that we keep the input, the file that you have received, because that is a legal document that we must keep. Then we transform it. Maybe we enrich it if you want us to check, for example, okay, is the PO number relevant placed in this or that file in the XML? Then we can do something. And then the output is the XML format that is needed in your workflow or ERP system. And of course, we don't want the bookkeeper to sit and look at all these tags in an XML file. We want to present a PDF for them. So if there's not an embedded PDF in the XML, then we generate one. So it's visible for the end user to see, okay, what does it look like, this invoice? And the XML is used, you can say, in the background. And also we have here the audit logs if someone wants to come and check, okay, what has actually happened when. And we have also the option for some error handling if anything fails, which is absolutely rare, but it could be like it that you have uploaded your master data from your ERP system. So we have imported, let's say, 10,000 suppliers. Then somebody tries to send us a fraud invoice. So it's not an invoice, it's not from a supplier that we recognize in our master data. Then it will end up an error here. And then, of course, you can check, okay, is it because it's a new supplier or is it a fraud invoice? So that's some security that we can set up if we import the master data from the ERP system. Not all customer wants to do that because they have this check in their workflow or their ERP system, but the option is here. Yes, and then you can hear me talking a lot around this e-invoicing, and I could talk more, but I'm not the only one talking about this. A lot of the larger companies out in the world, of course, looking into this, and some of them are actually building some reports that can guide you or us as a supplier. And here it's Bilentis, which is a Swiss company that has built this report, Global E-invoicing and Tax Compliance Report, and they call it What's the Tornado? And they do that because they see that with all these legal requirements coming, yeah, then it will start to grow. I mean, in Denmark, we have had e-invoicing since 2005 to the government, but still business to business, the volume of XML has not really grown very much. But now with all the legal requirements, it will happen relatively fast. And if it's how fast we will see, but they are calling it Watch the Tornado. And you will get this report sent to you if you want to look more into some of this we can say complex how we are actually doing the reporting, and also the gaps in text, and also some numbers for I think they are talking about 11 billion euros over the next 10 years that we will see as VAT growing within the EU countries. All that you can read in here, but you will get that afterwards. I think that was it, Jesper, from me.
Yes, thank you very much, Mette. I will jump to the next slide and take over and give some viewpoint from Encoma. And for you on the call, you have probably met a salesperson or two who has told you, maybe even scared you a bit about all these revolutions that were going to happen. We don't, we take it perhaps a little bit more on the backside, but definitely there are government mandates and laws now requiring business-to-business compliance within e-invoicing. So it's definitely happening, and Germany is one such an example where this will happen. Globally, it's also taking place, but we need to look at it from your business point of view and what your relevant markets are, and then you can say we have to somehow wait and see how quickly the market transforms from your existing OCR solution over to e-invoicing. That's why we believe that for the next couple of years, a hybrid solution is the right solution for our customers. And here I have illustrated it with one of our main products, the Tungsten, the AP Essentials solution, which many of our customers are using today, and which in the future also will be the workhorse handling the traditional existing PDF type of invoices. And then Rudy will enter the picture and coexist with AP Essentials, handling all the XML invoices and handling all the local requirements, fulfill all the local requirements to ensure that you comply with the countries that you operate in. Since we don't know how fast this transformation, how quickly it will happen, we see it as a transformation, from primarily an OCR solution today to a more digital XML based solution for you in the future. And if you are an AP Essential customer of us today, then it's definitely possible to make this transition in a flexible solution towards you, our customer, so that we can help you in this transition period, depending on the amount of XML invoices that you will encounter in your business. So we are very much here to help you in this transition period, and we would very much like to hear from you if you have such requirements. To wrap up from what Mette primarily has been talking about, yes, I put here the time to act now is now, especially if you have a subsidiary in Germany. But there could be other things happening in the outside of Europe where your business encounter some regulation, and together with Rudy and backed by Pricewaterhouse, we will also ensure that our solution complies with the local requirements. It's definitely happening in Europe as we speak. Over the next couple of years, we will see this change happening. And it's also providing new opportunities for improving automation and efficiency because we will be working with XML data and not and the fact that the data is structured as Mette has explained. We are here and we want to engage with you if you have requirements, so feel free to reach out to us and we will take it from there and work with you. We are through this, and I can see. Let me just check if there is any questions coming in.
Yeah, and I have read the question,
Yeah.
Jesper, while you're talking, so I think I will answer. And yes, it's also a solution that can work outside EU. The latest mandated country we have added to the solution is Malaysia, where they have and I actually don't remember the name of the platform. I just know that we have integrated that to ensure that both for the sending and receiving part in Malaysia. But we also have other countries around the globe, and also in the minute that that we have a customer requiring, okay, we want to sell invoices to Dubai, South Africa, whatever, and there is some kind of mandated solution, we will make sure that it's implemented and that we and you stay compliant. So it's not just for Europe, it's just because most of our customers have primarily focused in the EU. And it's also on the slides before, Jesper, you meant it's sustainability. That's also a requirement many companies are looking into, and some people are maybe looking into this digital product passport, it must be in English, where you're looking into writing a lot on technical data regarding your product, and that could also be a document that later on will be added to the RUTI, but at the moment it will be like an appendix, and it will just be forwarded together with the invoice if it's sent together with the invoice. So we can also handle these appendixes like the APS solution or the invoices solution can do.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. For the guests on this call, we ran this in Danish earlier today, and there was a good question from the audience. Mette, I remember they asked, if we have an AP Essentials solution today, and it specifies that it can receive various XML formats. Why can't we just use the existing solution for this purpose?
And for that, there's two reasons. And one of the reasons is the technical one, because if you want to follow the mandates around, for example, in Italy, you must send and receive through one of these sort of software solutions or access points. So here, Tungsten's APS Essentials cannot, and the same for the invoices product if you have that. And the other one is the flexibility, like the case I described earlier, where we have the PO number sometimes in top of the invoice, sometimes in the line item, sometimes on page 3. AP Essentials will map only the PO field, which is also the one that everybody should use, but that's not how it is. So even the XML is a standard. Each of us can interpret a little bit on it. And here, those customized mappings are very relevant. So we can ensure that no matter if you have the PO in the PO field on the header or the line item or in the comment field on page 3, then we can make sure to help you technically map this field and ensure that you get the value to automate the process later on. If we take the XML in APS, then somebody needs to type it, because you need to watch and search for the value on the different pages on the invoices. So that's the two reasons.
Okay, thank you, Mette. Yes, any other questions? Feel free to unmute and pose a question. We're just a small forum, so yeah, I welcome you to ask questions. Otherwise, this concludes our e-invoice webinar. I will send you a PDF of this presentation and also to the report that Mette mentioned earlier. And then, we invite you, please reach out to me and my colleagues. Let me just, the last slide here. Reach out to myself, my colleague Torben in sales, and Martin Kofod. Reach out to us, and we will help and assist you in becoming e-invoice compliant for today and tomorrow's requirements. Thank you very much for joining this call, and have a great afternoon. It's afternoon here in Denmark, so great afternoon, and thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.